So, I've just done a summing up over here. Let's say we are storing details. Character. You know what is a character? S is a character. Or a number is a character, and so on. Okay. Field. I'm talking about a student called Shruti. This I say is a field, the name. Record, this whole record. Shruti's ID, her name, her date. Okay, all this together, I call it a record. File means many records together. I have 3 records over here. I have Manuel's record, I have Rehan's record, I have Shruti's record. All these are inside the personnel file. When I talk about a database, I do have a personnel file, I even have a department file, I even have a payroll file. A collection of many files together, I call it to be a database. It cannot be files, it can even be a table. It can even be a table, a personal table or a department table or a payroll table. So I'll go very simple. Database is a collection of tables, file is a collection of records, record are related fields, fields are a collection of characters. So this is what you call data hierarchy. We'll see a few more terms today. What do you mean by an entity? Entity is a very important concept in databases. What do you mean by an entity? An entity is very simple. If you think about small kids, they play a game, name, place, animal, thing. You remember that at home, name, place, animal, thing. All those which come under that category, they fall under entity. A class of people, place, or things. Okay, let's say customer, it is an entity. Name, place, animal, thing. Employee, student, flight, route. Okay, product. You can think about anything which you can have lots of characteristics. Data can be collected, data can be stored, data can be extracted. All those, they come under the category called entity. Now, let's see what do you mean by an attribute. Attribute is nothing but a characteristic. Okay, so we'll talk about one by one. If you talk about customer, he can have a customer name, he can have a customer address, he can have a customer age, he can have a customer phone number. All these are attributes of customer. I just written one over here, customer name. You think about employee. Okay, try telling me what all are the attributes for attributes. So, attribute is nothing but a characteristic which is identifiable of a product. You will see out many over here. Now, a very important concept called key. Now, look, let's think about customer, or let's think about student. I'll write over here. I have in my class a student called Shruti. A student called, I have 4 Shrutis in this class, isn't it? I have Shruti. I even have Shruti. Okay. Let's say marks are different. I'll just go for random marks: 50, 60, 70, 80. Okay, and even age: 21, 21, 20, 20. Okay, this also I will give 60. Okay, so these are the details of students in my class. Okay, I have the name, I have the mark, and I even have the age. Now, I want to pick out a particular student. Now, let's go trial and error. Now, imagine you are planning to pick out with respect to name. Okay, now look here. What do you mean by a key? A key is nothing but it should identify the record. So, whom I have in mind is I have this particular Shruti in my mind. Now, when I plan to extract, retrieve With the help of name, I will be getting records of 4 people. You cannot identify with respect to name over here because all the 4 names are Shruti, spelling exactly same. Now imagine you are planning to identify with the help of Mark. Look here, Mark also it cannot happen. You have 2 people with the same mark. You cannot uniquely identify. Let's say you are planning to do it with respect to age. There are again 2 sets of 2 people with the same age. So you cannot say that name is a key or mark is a key or age is a key. That is why we do have something called roll number. Roll number will never be same for these people. You can have, this will be 30, this will be 31, this will be 32, this will be 33. Okay, roll number, I can say, it will help you in identifying a particular record uniquely. Okay, so that is what you mean by a key, a field or a set of fields which helps you to identify the record. So if you're planning to go for the first Shruti, you just need to say roll number equal to 30, which means, I will be getting this particular record. If I say roll number equal to 33, I will be getting the 4th Shruti. So this is what you mean by I just showed a diagrammatic representation of all these. Now, I am talking about an entity called employee. Okay, my entity name is employee. Now, I do have 4 attributes over here. This is attribute 1, employee number, first name, last name, hiring date, and department number. I just gave random stuff over here. All these are my attributes or the fields. Very simple. You can think of columns, attributes. Now, I have details of Manuel, Rehan, and Shruti. So, I say, this is my record number 1, this is my record number 2, and this is my record number 3. Okay, so I do have 3 sets of records, all of them which come under the entity called employee. Now look here. As I was telling you, I will be having n number of employees. There might be many Shrutis, many Sandras, many Matthews and all that. Anyway, I will not be able to identify with the first name. Hiring date, again, not possible because, 2 of you would have joined at the same date. Department, again, not possible because, many of you will be working in the same department. Last name, there'll be many people whose last name is Matthew. There'll be many people whose last name is Rajan and so on. Employee number, that's perfect. No 2 people can have the same employee number. So I say that is my key field. That is my key field. Now, this uniquely identifying, you call it with a pet name primary. Because it is a key, you even call it primary key. You call it by the name primary key. So in this particular entity, I can say employee number is my primary key. Employee number is the primary key because with the help of employee number, I am uniquely able to identify. No other field I will be able to uniquely identify, only with the help of employee number, or if you think about student number. Okay, you can uniquely identify. See, long back, we had a traditional approach of doing things. That is what we even call it as a file system approach. Files. Earlier, we weren't going for tables. We were using something called files. Now, in files, what happened is separate files are created and stored for each application. Now you will understand it a bit more easier if you look into the diagram. Now imagine you are running an organization. Okay. Now you had an individual payroll file with all the payroll programs, and then of course you will be extracting all your payroll information. The users, they will be extracting the payroll information. For invoicing, inventory, management inquiries, how many ever things you wanted, you did have separate files for that. You did have separate files for that, separate programs for that, and you were making reports out of it. Now look here, these files, they are completely separate. You can exactly think about the conventional paper filing system in offices. None of these are connected to each other. These files are not connected to each other. And look here, you had a set of data for the payroll, the same set of data even for the invoicing, the same set of data for the inventory control, and the same set of data even for the management inquiries. So how many more files you have? All those, they were individual. That is why I've written over here. You had separate files created and stored for each application program. But after that, we went for something called the database approach. Now, in the database approach, what we do is we have related data which is shared by multiple applications. Now, look, you have a single set of data, all of which are connected with each other. You do not have how much here? You have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 sets of data over here. You did not have 4 sets of files. Instead, you had a concept called a DBMS, which will be having, let's say, 4 or 5 tables. All these tables, they will be connected with each other, and then you will be generating the required reports. That is actually the main difference between a file system and a database system. In a database system, you had a concept of a database where you have data connected to each other. Data, they are stored in tables which are again connected to each other, and then you do your recurrence. If you look back into the previous picture, look here. Data, no connection between the data, no connection between the files, and then you do your job. So this was how earlier things were happening. Now, let's see what is the problem with that. Okay. Now, we'll just go for a small experiment. I am talking about file system, not about DBMS. I'm talking about the traditional approach. You and your project partner are editing the same file.